All right. Okay, so let's get going. And as you roll in, if you want to leave where you're coming in from in the chat, so we can just feel this like big, beautiful worldwide connection that we have. So I am Jessica Hesser. I'm going to be your host today. I'll introduce our other beautiful host speakers in a few minutes. Really, we wanted to put on this Healy info call, so that we could give you a chance to come learn about this incredible frequency device that we have all fallen in love with. And it is more than just a frequency device. It's also a really beautiful community and an incredible business opportunity. So we're going to share a little bit about everything today. But primarily, we really want to connect you with, what is this device? How does it work? What does it do? And what have been our personal experiences with it, because this amazing business opportunity that is available, the heart of it, of course, is still this device and the way that it supports us and our families and our communities in such monumental ways. So I'm really curious, before I get started, how many of you are a little bit familiar with Healy? Like, if you've read about it, if you've checked out some links, if you've heard about it, type a 1. If you're like brand new, you have no idea what this thing is, you just followed the call and got here, type a 2. Okay. So was that a 1.5? All right. So a little bit of everything. Beautiful. So I'm going to share just a little bit about my story, and I'll do kind of the brief version of my story, because I have told my story many, many times, and then get into, what Healy is and how it works. This is Healy, by the way. It is, it looks, when I first saw Healy, I thought it looked like an iPod. It looks pretty inconspicuous, but do not underestimate the potential that this little gadget has, because it's phenomenal. So Healy came into my world almost 2 years ago now. And at this point in time, I was in a pretty tricky place in life. I had chronic pain and extreme fatigue for almost 20 years, so almost 2 decades. And this was, the kind of pain and fatigue that really deeply affected my life. That really made it almost impossible for me to live the life that was like inside of me, for me to express myself in the ways that I wanted to, for me to create the things that wanted to be born in me, for me to show up with the kind of engagement and presence and energy that I really desire to show up with. And to the point that it affected not only my personal life, definitely my business life. It made it very, very difficult for me to ever earn any kind of consistent income, because there would be these long periods of time where I really couldn't physically function enough to show up for anything other than just like living, breathing, getting through a day. But most, for me, the thing that was most difficult about it was how it affected my family life. My children, their whole childhoods were me being sick, were me having to manage my energy levels and try to manage my pain levels. And it honestly, like, this piece is very tender. I'm sure you can imagine it if you have kids, but it breaks my heart that their whole experience growing up with me as children was me as this unwell mom. that couldn't participate fully in their lives in the way that I wanted to, and in the way that they wanted me to, and they needed me to, because I couldn't function like that. So it meant, missing a lot of events and holidays and school things where I was in bed rather than participating. And even when I was with them, if you live with any kind of chronic condition, pain, fatigue, it becomes very difficult just to even be present, because it's like, it's just like this cloud. So that was, for me, spending these almost 20 years with this physical situation, was pretty devastating. And I spent those 20 years trying to heal. I spent them trying to heal in every single capacity possible. There was nothing that I said no to. I tried it all, every program, every practice, every healer, every remedy, every supplement, every detox, all of it. That includes frequency technologies. I've actually been using frequency technologies for about 10 years. I had some incremental healing along the way, but I never fully resolved it. I still had this pain, and I still had this extreme fatigue. So enter Healy. I was living off grid. I was a little hesitant to add any more technology in my life. I was living off grid to, cleanse my life of technology as much as possible. And obviously, extremely committed to that. And yet I had this really deep yes to Healy when it was introduced to me. And I follow that yes. I mean, that is my devotion in life, is to follow that yes, no matter how crazy it seems, no matter if it doesn't make sense to me or the world. And so I followed that yes. I purchased a Healy. I was also not working at all during this time. It was the middle of the pandemic. Even the work that I could do, I couldn't do because of the pandemic. So I had zero income coming in. But blessedly, I had just enough in my bank account to purchase a Healy when it arrived in my life, and I had this deep yes to it. I got my Healy, and within less than a week, my physical reality was transformed. I had a really big detox one night, and I sweat. I woke up in standing water of sweat in my bed. But when I got out of my bed, it was like I was getting out of my bed in a different body. And I remember texting my mom and saying, I just woke up with no pain. I feel like I'm in the body I had when I was 12. And I don't know why the 12 is significant, but it is. That was the body that it felt like all of a sudden I jumped into. It was a body that had energy, that had vitality, that was in coherence. We'll talk about this more with, what was on the inside of me, like what my soul was here to do, that my body was unable to express for so long. All of a sudden they were on the same page. And it really felt like someone just came in and switched the light on inside my body. And I'll talk about this a little bit more in a minute too, when I explain how Healy works. But this was amazing. I did not expect this kind of transformation with Healy. After 20 years of trying everything, I kept a balance of hopeful and skeptical. But even the hopeful part of me in no way expected that this is how much change I would experience, and that quickly. It was beyond. So that was 2 years ago. And I still don't have pain in my body. It has never come back, even in periods of time when I haven't used my Healy for a while. There have been a couple of periods for various reasons that I haven't used my Healy for long periods of time. It doesn't come back. It is just washed from my system. So Healy went on to really transform many other, secondary physical difficulties I was having. And then things that, again, never in my imagination did I think it would touch upon, but creativity, self-expression, confidence, my relationships, my marriage changed. And then my finances. So again, with Healy, we'll talk more about towards the end of the call, this beautiful business opportunity that is an option with Healy. Completely transformed the rest of my life. So it has just been this like mind-blowing, really life-changing experience unfolding the last 2 years. So Healy, this is Healy. It is it's a frequency device. So it's a microcurrent frequency device. It's a wearable device. It works on two main levels, but we actually have some additions. So the two main ways that Healy is working with the body and with the whole, I call it the whole human, the whole self, is microcurrent. Microcurrent is a low-level electrical current that really mimics the electrical current of the nervous system. So it's like the organic current, electrical current that runs through the body. We are electrical beings, and really our experience of health and vitality in our body is related to the health of our electrical communication in the body. So I can't get it back on. So the microcurrent, what it's doing specifically, it's working on a cellular level. So it's working with your physiology to support cellular voltage. The health of a cell is measured by the voltage of a cell. So this microcurrent works to increase cellular voltage, so cellular health. It increases ATP production, which is the energy production of the cell, protein synthesis, amino acid transport, all of these really beautiful, like fundamental things that are happening on the physicality of the body, cellular level. And then Healy's also working in the biofield. So the biofield is essentially the energetic field, the information field. Well, Jen is going to share more about, where the company and the founders and where this came from. But the man who created Healy, Marcus Schmecke, is a quantum physicist, among other things, created this beautiful capacity for quantum intelligence within the device. So Healy is able to go into what Marcus calls the information field being identified as the fifth and sixth dimension. So this is the fields of information that we're talking about when we talk about quantum. It is able to go into that space and assess what your natural organic blueprint is. So this is your, if you could think of like your highest state, like your individual state of kind of perfect expression. That's your blueprint. That lives in the information field. So Healy is going to the information field and reading this, and then via the language of frequencies, delivering this information back to physical, manifest, material, third dimensional reality, the body. So those are the two main capacities that Healy's working on, the microcurrent, which I'll show you in just a sec, like how we use the Healy. And then the biofield applications. You're getting both of these when you run a Healy program. Third is we have this little thing called a coil, which transforms the microcurrent programs into magnetic field programs. So this is a little add-on that you can get when you get your Healy. What's really nice about it is it makes it so that it's wire free. It gives you just a little more movement capacity, and it expands your ability to do programs. So those are our three main functions. It's working on the cellular level, it's working on the magnetic field with the coil, and it's working in the biofield and the information field. The thing about Healy, like why, we're at this incredible and challenging precipice, evolutionary precipice, I believe. And one of the things that's happening is this, the understanding of frequency being really what is informing fundamentally what is informing our experience of life and reality. This is starting to kind of move beyond spiritual spaces, mystical, yoga, these kind of places where we tend to tune into and talk about and learn about the energetic nature of reality, but it's starting to go mainstream. And we do have, there are a lot of frequency devices in the world. Frequency technology has been around for centuries historically, because it has a really phenomenal capacity to elicit transformation. Historically, it has been suppressed. But we're at the dawn of this new age. And so, frequency technology and understanding it is starting to, pick up, popularity in the mainstream. But why Healy? Healy is incredibly unique because two things. One of the capacity of frequencies that the Healy has in its database. So we have over 10 million frequencies available to us. Most devices have something like, I think the highest I've heard is 100. Most have less than that, other frequency devices. So we have a database of over 10 million frequencies available to us. We have something like, I just heard the new number, and I wrote it down, so whatever, 320 programs, different programs. These programs help to support everything. I talk about Healy supporting the whole human. So this is physical, mental, emotional, energetic, anything that you can think of, really. We have a program for that. It's organ systems, it's meridians. There's programs for, there's beauty programs for skin and hair. There's fitness programs, there's sleep programs, there's learning programs, there's emotional well-being programs, everything. You've got everything covered. So that's one that makes Healy really unique, is this extremely large database. But the second, which is the most important thing, and I think why Healy is so incredibly effective, is the quantum sensor. There is no other device on Earth that has this quantum sensor. And what this quantum sensor allows Healy to do is to give you customized frequencies, customized programs in real time. So as you are running your Healy program, the quantum sensor is scanning your biofield to see in real time what frequencies would be perfect for you, most supportive for you, most balancing, most harmonizing for you in this moment. So let's say I'm running a liver program. When I run the liver program, the sensor is going to be checking to see exactly what liver-related frequencies would be perfect for me right now, and then sending those frequencies. So the liver program that I run today is not the same as the liver program that I'll get tomorrow, and mine is not the same as yours. Each time we run it, it is customized to us in real time. This is brilliant. So there's not some kind of generic idea of what is optimal that is sort of being forced upon us. It is intimately communicating with your own biofield, your own information field, to deliver only what you need in this moment to come into coherence, to come into, your most optimal harmonic state. This is, again, nothing else has this. This is why Healy works so well. This is what makes it so unique. So I also want to just show you really quickly, how we use the Healy, because everyone wants to know, and I'm just going to give you a really brief. So this is the Healy. I don't have straps in it right now because I'm actually running a protection program called Biodefense General. It doesn't require the straps. But when we use the straps deliver the microcurrent. So again, that's the cellular support specifically. So when we run it, we have an app on our phone. We tell the Healy what to do via the app. And just real quick, I want to mention, because this is the other question I get all the time. Many of us are careful about EMFs. We don't want to be on devices all the time. You do not have to be. So the app needs to exist because there has to be communication between you and the device. How are you going to tell it what to do? So the app exists to be that interface, to be that communication. When you start a program, you go into the app, you choose the program, you send the program to the Healy device. It literally takes just a few seconds. Then you can turn Bluetooth off. You can leave your app. You can close your phone. You can turn your phone off. You no longer need to be attached to any device. The program will be on the Healy and it will continue to run. So there's two ways we use it. One, you can just go pick a program. Again, we have hundreds of programs now to choose from. Two, you can use this scanner. The scanner is like the brilliant brain of the Healy. Using the scanner, using the programs that the scanner suggested is how I had, the incredible transformation that I had. The brilliance of the scanner is that it doesn't have bias. So again, it's in the information field. Nothing can be hidden there. It doesn't have a human bias. We have bias, practitioners have bias, and no matter how good we are at assessing a situation or a person, we always carry these bias. The scanner doesn't have a bias. It's neutral. It's just looking at information in this biofield. So it's checking physical, mental, emotional, energetic, scanning that, bringing the information back, letting you know which programs based on that information would be most supportive for you to run right now. And then you can go run those programs. So to run the program, you're going to start it on the app. You're going to put these straps on if you're doing the microcurrent. They just go on your wrists. Usually there's a couple of different options, but generally this is what we do. They go on your wrist. The programs run for like 30, 40 minutes. Some are a little less, some are a little more. And that's it. Again, you can leave your phone once the program has started. You do not need to keep it with you. The other way, again, is the coil. The coil just slips on the back. You slip it on the back. Same thing. You start your program and you just go about your day. You don't have to sit down and meditate. You don't have to lay down because you're hooked up to a big device. You don't have to go to a practitioner. You get to have this on your own to support yourself, to support your family, to support your community and your friends, but like it's in your own hands for you to be the master of and have as support all the time. So this is the kind of my big wrap up of my experience with the Healy, how it works. I think I covered everything, but if not, feel free to ask in the chat. And yeah, I do just want to say too, like beyond, kind of what's obvious about how it can support. And again, my experience was physical. I came in really needing physical support, but that's not how everybody enters. Healy is working to support on the physical level, the emotional level, the mental level, the energetic level. It's supporting the whole human because we are a whole unit. To experience any kind of true wellness, like holistic wellness, we have to be tending to all parts of ourselves. In so many instances, we know we might be having an expression of something that's out of balance, but the root is not necessarily, linearly related. Like I can have a physical something, but the root could be emotional or energetic. With Healy and with its access to the information field, without that bias, it's able to see exactly what the root is and then resolve at this, foundational frequency element. Everything in manifest realm, again, the ancient sages and mystics and saints and yogis have known this forever, and many of us know this, but now science shows, and this is where the quantum comes in, and quantum science shows that absolutely most of what we are is not material, flesh, body, nothing actually solid. Most of what we are, 99.99% of what we are, is space. But this is not empty space. It's intelligent space. It is the information field. And the language in this information field, the language that communicates from this space of intelligent potential, nothing is set in manifest. It is all possibility, all potential. What communicates between that and what we experience as physical manifest reality is frequency. So having a device like this that is giving us that direct access and direct communication. And again, I know a lot of us, we're already playing in this world, but Healy optimizes that. Healy expands that. And I believe that it's really here as, not to kind of do the work for us, not to replace our own relationship with ourselves and our world, but to help, to help people who are unaware of this kind of aspect of, how much the unseen world determines the seen world, help new people come on board with that because they experience it. Even if they don't believe it, they can try a Healy and experience it, and all of a sudden their mind is open. But for those of us who are already playing in this realm, I think that it's here to really help us achieve a greater level of mastery. And it's my personal belief that Healy is here for just for a period in time in this evolutionary precipice that we're on, this leap that we're really, I think, being required to make, is going to, it needs us to step into a deeper mastery of these kind of skills. And I think that's what Healy is doing, is helping us by just kind of expanding and optimizing our potential to shape our experience via frequency. So thank you for letting me talk so long. It's hard for me to say any of this short because I could honestly talk for hours. I love Healy. I love the science. I love my experience. I love every bit of it. So it's hard for me to make it short, but I want to give these other beautiful women space to talk. So I'm going to invite on the beautiful Jana, who is a friend and a business partner and a beloved member of this community. She's also an astrologer and a yoga nidra facilitator and wears many hats. And she's going to share a bit about her experience and then also the company and the origins of Healy and where it came from. Hi, Jana.
Hi, Jess. I could listen to you talk forever about Healy. When you're on Jess's team, she leaves these like bathtub voice notes in the chats. And they're always just like what you experience right now. Like just somebody asks a question, she goes on a big rant and it's so beautiful and so deep and so inspiring. And I just feel so blessed to be on your team, Jess, like to be a part of this with you. So my name is Jenna Romer, if we haven't met before. I have been studying consciousness for almost 2 decades now. It's been 22 years since my first little dip in with studying consciousness, the nature of the mind, and what we're here to do in this world. And very early on in my journey of studying this, I got into Buddhism, and Buddhism got me into the nature of the mind. And that got me into this deep dive into the one teaching. This is the one teaching that changed all for me. When you die, the faster you're able to recognize yourself, the better rebirth you will have. You get an opportunity to choose your rebirth. And to do that, we have to free ourselves from as many illusions or the delusion as we can over this lifetime so that we can really see ourselves. And when I got that teaching, it was like something ancient in my soul was like, yes, that's it. That's it right there. Like cut through all the delusion. And then, of course, that led me on this big journey of like, what is the mind? What is the subconscious mind? What's the unconscious mind? How do we process information? Where do beliefs come from? What are all the different layers of self? And like the journey that I've been on, my teachers are Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden, Dr. Bruce Lipton, who's the grandfather of epigenetics, and teaching yoga and meditation, and then finally landing in the realm of yoga nidra. And yoga nidra and Healy are like besties, because when we go into the practice of yoga nidra and into the state of yoga nidra, what we're doing is we're going underneath the analytical mind and swimming in the subconscious mind, and we're having an opportunity to rewrite beliefs. I had so many people reach out to me about Healy. They were like, you gotta get into Healy. And I was like, why? I don't get it. Although I had been using frequency medicine or frequency devices, but through a practitioner for literally years, and had incredible experiences with it. Once I started to understand what Healy does, and I'm going to talk about the coach for my personal experience with it, although there's lots. What the coach does, it's one of the features, if you have the Resonance Plus or the Pro, is you write in your goals. And all of the things that Jess was just talking about, this interface with the information field and your subconscious mind, you write in your goal. And then it has all these different data points, because humans are patterned beings, right? And it looks at what are your blocks for reaching that goal? What are your beliefs that are preventing you? What are your emotional blocks? What are your erroneous ways of thinking, or your wrong action, or the ways that you're self-sabotaging? And then it gives you that information back and helps you to see yourself, like Jess was saying, without the bias, because it's just reading the information. It's just reading your energy. It's just reading the frequencies that you're carrying, and it will show it to you. Sometimes it's a little bit offensive. I'm like, wait, no. And I'm like, oh God, that's true. I do have to address that within myself. And then not only that, so you have something to work with. And I love to journal with my coach. And then I love to reassess like how I'm navigating my days. But then it also sends you frequencies to help you to become a vibrational match to your goal. And anybody that's done any manifestation work, you know, one of the things that's through line across all different schools of thought is that in order to manifest, you have to become a vibrational match to the thing that you desire. Well, the frequency helps us to become a vibrational match to our desire, the goal that we're putting in there. Like, and when I first started using the coach, I was a little bit chaotic. I had like 2 different businesses going on and lots of stuff. And I was homeschooling my 8-year-old and doing all these things. And I just put in the coach. I am beautifully organized. My life flows with ease. My days are spacious and calm. I am inspired and channeling wisdom. And the stuff that it started spitting back at me, I was like, wait a second, is this thing spying on me? Like, what's going on? How does it know so much about me? And that actually sent me on a little bit of a journey to check into like privacy and information sharing, and like, you know, apps like CoStar and the Pattern, they are spying on you. They are reading your text messages and listening to you. Healy isn't. And when I started this, the first place I went was into the app. And let me just show you. Oh, I had it open. Let me just show you. If anybody's interested in information privacy, you can always go into the App Store and see, and I don't know if you can see that. No data collected. No data collected. Healy spends 5 million pounds a year making sure that our information is not hackable, it's not shared, nor is it sold. Because not only is the information and our information, they hold that in high esteem and high value, but this technology is so refined and so advanced that there's nobody really that matches us. There's no other product on the market that comes close to what Healy does. And so they want to keep their property on lockdown as well. So it's for us and it's also for them. Now, somebody just asked, what about the cloud? The cloud is only going back to Healy head office. It's only going back to Healy. And anything that we do share on the cloud, it's only looking at how the frequencies are working in our bodies to help them to refine. But there's no AI in Healy. They have a high respect and regard for privacy and keeping things tight. So for me, that was a big, important thing. The next thing that I started researching, because here I am, I'm the kind of person who, whatever I'm learning, I want to go to the source. So when I was studying yoga, I wanted to know who my yoga teachers were. And I tried to get as close to source as I could. When I started learning about the nature of the mind, I went to India and I sat with the Dalai Lama. Oh, maybe that's not the best example right now, considering the news, but like 20 years ago, that was a great example when I went. When I started learning about the nature of the mind from the perspective of the quantum, I went straight to Joe Dispenza. I've done 4 Dispenza retreats. I'm always trying to go as close to source as possible. So when I came into Healy, I was like, who's the inventor? What's his deal? What's he going on? Like, what's his motivation? What's his, like, what's up? So I start to research Marcus. Marcus, first of all, he's a little bit of a savant, where he understood quantum physics to the degree that sparked his interest, and he knew this was the path that he had to tread when he was only 16 years old. When he was 21 years old, so sorry, let me back up. He went to university to study quantum physics. One of his teachers early on said, if you're learning quantum physics and you're not shocked, you're not understanding it correctly. And he realized that some of his professors at his first university that he attended, they weren't shocked. And he was like, I don't think they understand it all the way. So he actually left that school and went and sought out better teachers, better professors that were shocked and amazed at the power and the depth of quantum physics, and went down that route. And in his journey, trying to find the best teacher, because he, like me, wanted to go as close to source as possible, he found people who had passed down and picked up where Einstein left off. And when he started to receive the transmission and the teachings that he built Time Waver, which I'll explain in a second on, the teachers recognized the power of this technology and the power of this information. And they made him promise that the only way they would teach him this information is if he promised to only use it for good. Come on, really? Like, they're not just giving this information out to anybody. I took some notes out of a recent thing that I listened to him, so I'm just going to pull it out. So when he was starting with this quantum physics journey, he had a professor that said, if you want to understand philosophy, we have to understand physics first. Because when you understand the quantum philosophy or the physics behind philosophy, then it changes your whole perspective on spirituality and philosophy. Because right now, without science or without the physics or without the quantum behind philosophy, we can argue and debate it based on how it feels. But when we have the physics behind it, we can't now argue with reality because it's what it is. And we might not always like it, but at least now we're rooting our philosophy in what the universe is made of. And he went on to share that when you are, he said the new facts from physics change the philosophy, right? So the facts that are coming out through the quantum understanding have to change the way philosophy moves through our systems. He also had, when he was 21 years old, he decided that his scientific mind was quite satiated, and he left for India and became a monk. For almost 12 years, he became a monk because his spiritual side was hungry and thirsty. And this is what he said. He's like, science without spirituality is blind, and spirituality without science is just lame. Like, that's what he said. It's just lame. And so we need to put them together to have wisdom and an integrated world that we live in. And so he kept asking the question, okay, so I have my body and have my soul or my spirit. What keeps them together? And whether they were looking at a subatomic particle or the depths of the universe, this common language that connected everything was frequency. And as this common language that is, right now, we're sharing a common language of English, but there's so many different languages around the world. And depending on where you are, we have to translate to different languages to get it. But it doesn't matter what verbal language you speak, all of our bodies and all of our souls and everything manifest and unmanifest in this world speak the common language of frequency. That's profound. That's profound. Okay. He said, when you look deep into matter or out into the outer reaches of the universe, it's all frequency. It's the universal connector, a language that crosses all mediums and modalities. And when he figured this out, it really piqued his interest. So I did a little bit of research before today to make sure that I was telling the story correctly, because I've told his story a little bit incorrectly before. So I went straight to him to get it right. In 1997, he published a book called The Fields of Life, and it's all about the frequency and the field of frequency that underlies everything. In 1998, he met a physicist who studied with Einstein and picked up where Einstein left off. He got to spend 3 years with this guy working very closely. When he realized that the energetics of a human is rooted in the field of life or in pure information, he also realized that frequency is the universal language. Then he didn't build Healy alone. He was connected with some of the most incredible geniuses. There's one fella, his name is Nuno Nina. And if anybody's coming to Portugal, we're going to get to be with Nuno Nina, pardon me. And he is the brains behind the gold module programs, 144,000 frequencies that were the base of it. But this guy, just in general, he is also this like wacky, amazing spiritual scientist, quantum physicist who lives completely off grid, off of his whole house system is off regenerative batteries, like Tesla batteries that he's like developed. that kind of badassery in his development. And then there was another woman named Carolyn McMakin, who's been studying frequencies pretty deeply since 1993. Now, if you're like me, 1993 seems like yesterday, but that's actually 30 years ago. Right? Like 30 years ago. And between the three of them, so Marcus, his teachers, Nuno Nina, and Carolyn McMakin, they invented the package that you see today. I have this in my chest. This is just showed you the Healy. This is another product. It's called the Mag Healy, and it has 2 Healys inside of it, and it's working in a slightly different way. I'm going to talk about this really briefly. This one, you can use this in 4 different ways. One, I don't know enough to talk about it yet, but it's the classical programs and it's where it's originated. The second is you can use it to charge your water. So you can take a program and you can choose, I really like the heart opening one, and it puts the frequencies in your water. If anybody studied Dr. Emoto's work, where soul is in water, and depending on the prayers and the projections that we put in water, the water changes form. And we're about 70% water. And so we're drinking our frequencies and adjusting our inner world that way. You can also have it running atmospheric programs. So I really love this because I put it in my room, in wherever I am, and it casts a field of 3 meters and it sets the frequencies in that room. My favorite is the sleep program, but my second favorite is it's like a protection defense mechanism. So it's blocking EMFs and it's holding a nice frequency in the room for you to thrive in. There's all kinds of stuff like coherence, children playing, plants. You can put it by your plants to help your plants grow. Prosperity gets a lot of attention to align you with the frequencies of prosperity. There's 24 of this type of program. And then Carolyn McMakin made a set of programs that are, she actually developed them, well, more than just this, but one of her peak performance was she was working with NFL football players to get them back on the field faster after an injury. And so it sends 2 different frequencies. One is to address the issue and the other is to address the tissue. And you just put it on your body, crank it up to 100%. It gets nice and warm and just, it's delicious. If anybody has period cramps, whoa, the women's health thing on this is unbelievable. So back to Marcus for a second. Before the Healy was invented, he created a device or a machine that was called the time waver. And I love this when I got this. He shared in one of these chats that I listened to him that when he was coming up with the name of the time waver, so it was invented, it's working in the quantum, it's dialoguing with the information field, like Jess was talking about, with the subconscious mind, with your optimal blueprint. And as it's doing this, it's actually jumping out of time. So Jess talked about the 5th and 6th dimension. The 4th dimension is 100% absolute presence. And the 5th dimension and above, or if you're operating in alpha or dominant theta brainwave patterns, you're outside of time. So it can work on your past and your future even. And he was sitting on an island in the sea north of Germany, and he was watching the water lap along the shore. And he looked at it and he was like, oh, it's a time waver, because we can collapse time and we can move through the quantum and we can come and address anything, anytime, any space. They don't matter, because when we're in this world, it's not to get from point A to point B like you drive your car from here to the store. It's collapsed. Time is collapsed. Space is irrelevant because we're working in the quantum and it's all frequencies. So the time waver. And I just love that. Everything that I know about working in the quantum, that just, I didn't understand the name until he told that story. So he then came into, yeah, it's all right there, Morgan said, exactly. So when he was, I just want to share a little bit about the quality of man this guy is. So when he met Nina, they just started sharing information. They just started like, this is what I know. This is what I know. This is how I'm using frequency. This is how I'm using frequency. At that time, Nino had been using frequency with over 40,000 patients in his clinic in Lisbon, Portugal. And so he had a lot of research, a lot of like in-house experience with it. And they started exchanging information, and they didn't talk about a contract at all. They didn't talk about business at all. They just knew they were a match, and they just went for it. And they had a shared mission of wanting to participate in helping to heal the world and relieving people of suffering. It was only when the developers came in and were like, hey, wait a second, we need to have some contracts in place here, that they were like, oh, yeah, I guess we should do that then. Who does that in business? 2.5 years conversation, sharing knowledge that is really only in a very small amount of people and super, super valuable. And 2.5 years went by before they even talked about money or creating any sort of contract. And they only did it because the developers were like, you need this. They went and had a conversation. It was a very short conversation. They were already super aligned. Nobody was trying to outnumber or out earn or become greater than the other. They were just like, yep, that feels fair. Let's do that. That, I think, is a really big thing to understand about the quality of human that we're working with. At the same time, they needed an investor. There's a man named Christian Halpern, who he made a ton of money in Bitcoin, and he was a super hedge fund person. I know there's a better word for that than person, but and so he had a ton of money, and he somewhere along his journey decided that he was only ever going to invest in things that contributed to the healing of humanity and Earth, and things that were doing good in the world. And of course, here I go on the research, because I want to know who's got the money, because as a small business owner, I've never taken investment, because I know that as soon as investment comes in, I then have to answer to that person. And so he's the money. I want to know what his motivation is. His motivation is to be a force of good in the world. Of his super hedge fund, he ditched everything that wasn't that, and he is the main investor of Healy. And as an astrologer, I really like the part of the story that they met at an astrology conference. So they always say in Healy, the stars were aligned. And so we've got this incredible force behind this, that their integrity is in the right place. Our values are aligned, at least my values are aligned. And they are sitting on a technology that can radically change the way that we experience life in a very short period of time. And also over time, it continues to get deeper and deeper. And so, I mean, I did a lot of research to get to this point, because I only back things that I fully believe in. So here I am backing it. Yeah, I think that's all I really wanted to say about that. But yeah, this device is incredible. It's helped both myself and my family in ways that I don't want to get into my story, because it will take up a long time. If you want to check, it's on my highlights on Instagram. I've got all kinds of stuff there too. But I want to pass the floor over to Alex, because Alex and I met actually through Instagram. She is a projector business coach, and one of her posts came up in my Explore feed, and I read it and I was like, oh my God, this woman is speaking to my soul. I need this. And without knowing anything about her, zero referral, fully going on my emotional authority as a fellow projector, I ended up enrolling in her projector business academy. And a year later, she ended up being like, that Healy thing that you're doing, what's that? And I'm like, oh, she needs an invitation. I'm like, come on, come do this with me. And she was like, okay. And she's had a really amazing experience with Healy. So I'm going to be quiet and pass the floor over to Alex to share a little bit. And then I'll come back in and tell you about the promos later.
Hi, guys. Jana, this is so funny. Now I'm blushing. Hi, guys. My name is Alexandra Danieli, and yeah, I don't even know how to start after all these beautiful shares already. What you're sharing about the background and the technology just blew my brains out. So I'm running my coherence here to get my brain organized, because I do want to talk to you about the business side of things, which business is my passion. And the reason why it is my passion is because I love being of service. And I'm going to talk to you about this. There were so many ideas that plopped in while I heard Jess and Jana talk. And I was like, I want to talk about this and that and that. And no, let's stay focused here on the business, because when Jess talked about how her pain was keeping her away from being what she wanted to be as a mother for her children, right? So many people can also relate to not being able to have the experiences with their children, and this one of those people being me, because of financials, right? And as Jess was also talking about, Healy bringing healing on so many levels, right? Is it physical, emotional, mental? Is it in the field? Is it community? Is it financial, right? Those things all belong together. And our physical state, our beliefs, our minds, our emotions, they can all hold us back from having the financials that we need to thrive, right? And I love having my gate 2 in human design and my conscious Mercury speak about this, being all about valuing yourself so much that you allow yourself to receive the funds that you need for your full purpose expression. And so for me, the journey with Healy, and I purchased my Healy over 2 years ago and have been enjoying it ever since, quietly, until Jana was doing a thing. And I was like, yeah, oh, Jana is doing Healy now? Oh, are the cool kids doing network marketing now? Because maybe some of you can relate, but my mom was doing the aloe vera thing in the 90s, and it did not work out very well. It was so cringe. And she's also a projector. So of course, those pushy ways of how they did network marketing back then didn't work. But I was like, no, I do not want to do network marketing or MLM. I had massive shame around this. And if you've done any money work, you might know that shame is like one of the biggest things keeping the funds away, right? The funds of support that are here to support you to live your purpose, to help, to be your full expression. And I like to throw in a few prayers as well. And I really love the Change Me Prayers book by Tosha Silver, because it just really settled me into that place of, let me be my highest expression so I can be of the highest service I can be, right? So I do that in my coaching business. And I do that when I talk to people on the street, right? My intention is always make every encounter with a person leave them better than before. And the thing where Healy comes in now financially as well is not just that I want to show my kids the world, right? I want to only work a few hours a day when they're at school. And I also have a 4-month-old baby. So I want to hang my face into his face as much as I can and snuggle him and have him bite my nose. But also, I just want to have not to worry about how I show up or which client I sign as a coach. And I speak to so many people every day who message me on Instagram or wherever. And there's so much, and I work mostly like 99% with projectors. And there's so much of having to accept invitations that are exhausting to them and not right because of the money, right? And so when I started sharing about Healy in February as my first official business month with Healy, and I found that shame in me, I immediately asked myself, what is more important to me, to hold on to this shame or to show up for the people who need this same kind of financial healing so they can be of service in their lives? And I tuned in and I asked myself, I was like, no, I'm just gonna jump completely right over this shame, because that's what would just happen if I pretended it didn't exist. And if you're a little good at energetic work or you have tools, then you can do that. Otherwise, you can go EFT tapping or you can run your Healy or whatever, right? But I just said, like, no, it's so much more important to me to show up in service to this and look to the examples like Jess, like Jana, like some other ladies and incredible leaders in our upline who are sharing this from service, from, like Jana said, this company wants good to spread in the world. And so that's why everyone who's jumping on this train, also for the business, if you are here for just the money collection, you're gonna have a hard time, right? But if you're here to share good in the world, to be of service, to bring this incredible healing on all levels, including financial opportunity out into the world, then you will have all the support that you need. There are business trainings. There is the 3-month coaching container right now going on with our incredible leaders up north in the upline. They're amazing. You learn everything, like all the technology is there to support you on the business side. And if you're aligned with the intention of, I just need other people to have this too, right? And whether that's, you want to share like, oh, I need you to have this because you will be healing physically, or whether that is you need to have this because you will be healing financially. And now, just in my first month, I matched my coaching business income. And my coaching business income has become pretty good. So that was just from sharing, and I'm just like building out my downline. So I'm not like a super senior high up talking to you, right? I'm down there right now. Some might say hustling devices, but it's not what I want to do, right? I want to speak to the people who are really on board with this kind of, let's just have us be supported financially so that we can be really discerning about how we serve and how we show up in the world, not from a space of lack, not from a place of, I need to work with people who are not aligned or who won't show up to do the work because I need the money, right? But to have the financial funds behind you so you could do whatever your soul, your spirit, or source tells you that your mission is, your purpose is. And for some of us, it might just be sharing Healys, right? And for some of us, it's a double gig or a triple gig, right? Healy is just another form, or for some, it's all really interwoven. But whatever it is, it's just really, really beautiful to allow yourself to be so supported financially by this opportunity. And when Jana said that they were just sitting there without a contract, and then they made a contract and they're like, oh yeah, this sounds fair, right? This seems exactly also what the business model is modeled after, right? So this community and the support is all about I win, you win, right? That's why there are so many trainings. That's why when I first came onto those business calls, I got slightly addicted, right? I jumped off. I'm like, I want to be on more of these calls because everything feels so expansive. We're making more out of more. There's no like, oh my God, I need to grab that client so that I get them, right? It's more like, how can we all help everyone thrive in this business? And there's this incredible sister and brotherhood going on, right? There's no cattiness. There's no grabbing things from each other. There's no lack. It's all just like, let's help each other, lift each other up. And this guy, I mean, I have the smaller Healy too, but it ran out of gas before I got on the call. So, but these things, they can help us be in this elevated energetic space and maintain it, and then lift each other up into these places for everyone who needs it. And as you guys were all sharing about backgrounds, my training background is I've been educated by the plant medicine teachers for the last 7 or 8 years. So the challenge there always being too, you go to these incredible retreats, weekends or weeks in the jungle, and then you come home. How do you maintain that frequency, right? So it's all about like you get the downloads, you get the learnings, but these devices, they will just settle you into that feeling of prosperity, into that higher level that you're gonna be operating from, not just to have money, right? But what do you want the money for, right? First of all, what's your own motivation? Like, yes, more time with your children, going on, seeing the world, showing them the world, being parts of other cultures and whatever is important to you. Maybe you just want to have more time to snuggle with your dog, right? But whatever it is that personally thrills you so much, where you're just like, oh, I can relax back and I'm financially supported. And then the service piece of it, right? It allows you to be of service in the way that you're meant to. And the coherence program tells me that this is all I got right now. Download finished. Back to Jana with the weather.
So really, thank you, Alex. I mean, having you help me to see all of that stuff over the last year and running from design instead of default has been so amazing. And I see how you're doing it within your business as well. And it's so fun. Okay, so I want to quickly tell you, people are like, wait, how do I get a device? How does it work? So really, really important. You go back to the person that you got invited here and you ask for their link. A lot of people have it in their Instagram profiles or on their websites. And it's really good to actually have a conversation with the person if you want to have a little bit of extra support, even like a quick DM. There's some great sales on right now. Okay, so the challenge with telling you the promos is it really depends where you are in the world. Where I am in the Americas and in Mexico, there is a deal on right now where if you buy the Mag Healy, you're going to get the Resonance Plus for free. And I didn't do that. I got my Pro first, and then I got this. And I actually, once I got this, I was like, wait, what? I could have bought these together, and I didn't do that. And I could have got this for free for buying this. Like, holy smokes, once I understood the power of this. And so this is a pretty unreal promo for the month of April. Now, I don't think that that's happening in Europe, but I think across all the different markets, the Healy, whether it's the Resonance Plus, or the Pro, it's on for 40% off. And each one comes with its own little bonus package. So it's like natural cycles, and then natural cycles and soul cycle. I might have those reversed. And then the Pro comes with the coil. And if you don't have a coil yet, and if you plan on using this with your family, I highly recommend getting the coil as well. It's a little add-on. I love my coil. I use my coil for like 60% of the programs that I run with my Healy. But the best way to figure out what your promos are is when you go into the person who sent you store, the promo price doesn't show until you're at the cart. And you can also ask the person who sent you the link what the promos are for your local area, and we'll be able to hook that up for you. I think that's all I'm going to say about that, because it's really great to have that conversation. And I'm going to actually pass it back to Jess. She's down here for me in my little squares, rectangles, to close us up. But thank you so much for being here with us today and for allowing us to share our excitement for this magical device that has, it's changing our lives. And I think everybody that is in here that has one can echo the same thing. So I'll mute myself. Welcome back, Jess.
Thank you, Jenna, and thank you, Alex. Yeah, I think, even just on these calls, you get a little bit of a feel for the quality and the caliber of people that are in this community. With this particular business model, when you purchase, whoever you purchase from, you're invited into the space and into the lineage that they are a part of. And this, Healy itself, just by the nature of what it is, and like what Jana was saying, that the nature of really the vision and the heart it was born from, Healy attracts a really beautiful caliber and quality of people. But this particular lineage I happen to love so much. It is full of, so many incredibly visionary people, people who are, not just talking about it, but like doing the things to change their experience, their families, their communities, the world. Like Alex was sharing this beautiful support, like genuine support system where people are collaborating, even when they're not, financially connected in any way, but really showing up like in encouragement and cheerleading and loving on one another. And it's been a really unique community experience for me, not something I've ever seen happen like in actuality before. I've heard it talked about, never actually experienced it. And we have that here. And we have this built in like kind of constant inspiration, because we're just saturated by the presence of so many incredible people. So yes, if you're interested, reach out to the person that invited you here. They will get you more information. If you come and join us, you will be invited into the space that we have is full of resources, full of trainings. Like, we have so much to give you in this space. People show up just to receive the trainings even because they're really high quality. And then the device itself, all of that is optional. The device itself, obviously you're getting a feel for. It truly is life-changing. It's not just, a sales motto that we have. We're not out here just saying that. I don't think any of us are people that would even want to do that. We're telling like our genuine stories because we want you to know this is a possibility, because it's pretty mind-blowing just how much is possible here. So yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you for giving us your time and your energy. And if you have any questions, just, follow the thread back to how you got here and ask. We have a lot of information and answers and resources to share with you. And I hope to see you all in the future. And again, thank you. Have a beautiful day. Bye, everyone.